Welcome to the webinar. Immaculate Enterprises presents Private Lending 102, Analyzing the Numbers. This is not a public offering or invitation to sell securities or make an investment. Securities may only be offered or sold in the state or states where they are registered or under an exempt offering. Types of deals: single-family residence, pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, regular seller. Probate, divorce, relocation. Job loss, and also land for future development. With types of deals, we have commercial, multifamily, office and retail space, land for future development. But before we dig into all this information, let's first do a quick recap of Private Lending 101. Remember, you will be given paperwork. Paperwork to include title insurance, fire insurance, lender and key person insurance. Also to include an after repair appraisal. Transaction being placed in escrow for a professional close, and of course you also receive the termite report. Shortly after closing, you'll receive a hazard insurance policy, mortgage on the property, a promissory note, and lender title insurance. Every investment property supports itself. Do not worry about, does A have to be purchased to purchase B? Lender A is separate from lender B. No. Every investment property supports itself. All investments are independent of each other. I cannot stress that enough. All investments are independent of one another. Properties are also placed in beneficial tax structures, such as LLC, LP, land trust. How are deals acquired? Deal acquisition starts with an offer to make a purchase. For example, let's say after negotiation, the offer has been accepted. Once the offer has been accepted, we place the property under contract. A myriad of things can happen with a contract. It can be sold, also known as assigned, or kept for a different type of strategy. Many of you probably are thinking, can you assign a contract? Yes. Think about your house note. Your house note, you may have been financed from Bank of America. Several months later, you receive a Wells Fargo notice saying, I am now your new lender. But before an offer, and before the contract, we have to examine the numbers. And you don't even have to be great at math. We have an app for that. I'll show you in a few minutes. And as you probably have already guessed, single-family residence numbers are different from commercial numbers. You analyze the properties in a different way, but you still analyze the properties. And of course, land also is a different consideration as well, especially if you're thinking of making a new development. What type of development? For example, 65 acres available in Inglewood, California. What exactly would a developer put there to recoup the $65 million plus the building cost and holding cost? With the single-family residence, we have to think about fair market value, after repair value, rehab costs, holding costs, and then, of course, the purchase price. Now it's time to analyze the numbers. But before we do, let's start with a few terms. Fair market value, after repair value, loan to value, annual gross operating income, net operating income, and cap rate. Now that you have those written down, let's take a look at them one by one. Fair market value, dictated by the comps. After repair value is the value of the property after repairs. Loan to value. This is where the 70% or less comes in. The value of the property is $100,000. A loan, $70,000. That would be the 70% loan to value. Annual gross operating income. This is actually the grand total for all rents collected. Net operating income. This is the income you have after you've paid all the bills. So the debt service, maintenance on the property, any salaries that you may have to pay. This is what you would be left with, the net operating income. Capitalization rate, also known as cap rate. It's determined by the purchase price, and the NOI. Fair market value and after repair value are not the same. Fair market value is based on the recent comparable sales. After repair value is based on the upgrades. So if you're going to use regular linoleum floor or ceramic tile, or marble countertops versus granite countertops. Let's compare houses. House A, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and House B, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Both appear to be the same, but have different values. A closer look at House A, 3-bed, 2-bath, ceramic tile, carpeted throughout. Fair market value, $270,000. But once we put in $35,000 worth of repairs and upgrades, the after repair value will be $360,000. Did you do the math? Did you understand the math? House B is a pride of ownership house. Many upgrades that the owner has made. But those upgrades do not necessarily increase the fair market value of the house. House B, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, hardwood floors, granite countertops, jacuzzi, and the master suite. After all the owner upgrades, the after repair value is $450,000. But the fair market value of the house is only $360,000. The comps. Both houses are on the extremes. One's on the extreme low end, one on the very extreme high end. Where we want to be is the middle. That's where we want to stay. Make as many improvements with low expenses. House A and House B are at the extremes. So you have the higher side property, the lower side property. We have to do minimal repairs for House A. We want to leave equity in the deal because equity in the deal makes for a faster sale. And what we have here is one of our Excel slides. Our Excel file calculates for us, so we don't have to do the math by hand. That can get very tedious after a while. We have to enter two pieces of information, and that's repaired value and repair expense. So when we look at the columns, we know, okay, fair market value for this house in this area is $360,000. The repairs that we need to make to bring the house up to that would be $35,000. So we're going to, of course, with those repairs, add a few little upgrades and get all the necessary deferred maintenance up to date. So we also have acquisition expense, holding expense, hedge, closing costs, advertising costs, and realtor commission. Those expenses have to be calculated as well before you even make an offer on the house. Because at the bottom, the next, we'll show you exactly how we figured out, okay, what do we need to offer on this property to make it actually a profitable deal. And for the quick math, you have $270,000 purchase price plus $35,000 in repairs. Gives you a total investment into the deal, $305,000. $360,000 sale price, $305,000 into the deal. Gross profit, $55,000. With this Excel file, we would not know without doing long calculations to find out what should we offer. Maximum offer before profit, $272,041.10. Calculates all the way down to the penny. Commercial properties can also be flipped, just like houses. Although with the current commercial market, our strategy is to hold. When you download the PDF, the free PDF at the end of this webinar, there's a more detailed explanation of why. All deals have an exit strategy. Before making an offer, look for the exit. Yes, look for the out before entering into any deal. There are several types of exit strategies: refinance, sell, lease with the option to purchase, and even seller financing. If we're using private money, we can offer seller financing to quickly sell a property. Now that we've taught you about the numbers, private lenders don't need to worry about the numbers. That would be a misconception. You'll all remember, the numbers have to make sense. The property has to support itself. So to answer the previous question, do private lenders need to know the numbers? Yes. Not only do you need to know the numbers, you also have to understand the numbers. Important numbers: NOI, ROI, occupancy, AGOI, percent financing, and LTV. It is also important to consider loan term, the location of the property, and the type of property. And of course, growing areas are better investments. Let's take a closer look at net operating income. And return on investment. Also, annual gross operating income. See, you too can learn a foreign language. Annual gross operating income. Annual rents collected. Now for an equation. When you subtract all annual expenses and the maintenance from the annual gross operating income, you will get your net operating income. What you'll receive when examining a property: the pro forma, when the property runs perfectly, the actuals, which show you the here and now, and let's look at an example of both. Now this is a side-by-side look at pro forma versus actual. In the PDF, you will be able to see this more clearly. This example will also be in the PDF. If you notice the NOI is $400,038.91. Yes, it's all the way down to the 3 points instead of just 2. This is the way the Excel file does the math for us. We're trying to acquire the property with an 8.5% cap rate. That's normal for your B and C type places, the bread and butters. Also, when you read the PDF, you'll notice what we put in about the bread and butter, the recent changes. Now, the value of this particular property was $4 million, $4.7 million. Now, if we were going to have a loan on it, it would be a 70% loan, would be $3.2 million. And if you notice where it says financing amount, that is actually the price, the offer price, and the asking price, which is why sometimes you'll wind up with bidding wars. People will put something at a very, very low attractive price, and of course everyone comes to it and bids it up. And if you look at it, if we do go ahead and acquire this property at the $1.5 million, and we're putting nothing down on it, then it would be 100% financing, but a 70%, less than 70% value. So it's 100% financing, less than 70% loan to value. But when you're looking at purchase price, of course, it's 100% of loan to value if you're looking at just purchase price. But when you're looking at the equity in the property, there's excessive amount of equity for this particular deal. Now, of course, when you look at monthly cash flow, does this property support itself? Yes, it does. When you look at monthly cash flow on the left-hand side, that is if you never put any money down with the property, just 100% financing. That would be a net monthly of $23,445.32. That's monthly cash flow. If we put 20% down, of course, we get a little bit better cash flow because you put a little money in the deal to make it a little bit better. So it's $25,424. So cash on cash return. A loan constant, basically if your loan constant is less than your cap rate or equal to your cap rate, you know you're making a profit. So you can look at a property very quickly, just look at the loan constant, look at the acquisition rate, and look at the actual cap rate. The actual cap rate was on our previous slide, and that was actually a little bit higher. When we look at pro forma, this is the perfect property. It's running perfectly. Everyone's paying rent. All the apartments are occupied. That's not so in the real world. Also to note, if you notice the 2% increase of NOI, that's when we raise the rent for each person only by 2%. That 2% addition, very small to the one person having their rent increased, but for the commercial property, that's actually a very big increase in value, which also gives more equity. Now that happens with either pro forma or actual. Now when we consider looking at the actual numbers, you'll notice it in the Excel file, we have 45% of AGOI, of your annual gross operating income. So now our NOI has come down. Our net operating income has come down to $255,927.70. Big difference from the pro forma to the actual. We also have a drop in cap rate from that 25% to 16%. So we have a drop in the cap rate. But we're still trying to acquire our bread and butter at 8.5%. Now the cap rate in the area is actually 7%, and that's by government standard. The owner states that their cap rate, which can be different from the area, was 5.3%, which means more value, higher price, but less of an income when you're financing. So the fair market value according to the owner is $4.8 million. Fair market value compared to area cap rates is 3.6. Now when we valued the property and you're saying, okay, we're going to acquire this property at 8.5 because we're looking for discounts. We're coming in at 3 million. Just a little barely over 3 million. So that's our suggested top offer. That's what it means when we see suggested offer. That's the top for us, 3 million for this property. So of course the asking price, we're going to base looking at it first on the asking price. Let's say with our example, we've acquired it at the asking price. They were fast enough with getting the money, we're fast enough with saying yes, fast enough to jump in, no bidding wars, 1.5 million. Now we finance the amount. The lender, because of a debit service, if there was a lender, private lender, or even a conventional lender, this is based on a 6% debit service, 6% for this one. Our private lenders receive the pro forma and the actuals. The reason why you need to receive both, well, you have to see where a property starts from, where the here and now is, and where a property could possibly go to, as in the pro forma. So I'm going to reiterate, to make sure that you have a secured investment, your loan to value has to be based on the actuals, not solely the pro forma. Property will be easier to refi. The value will increase as occupancy goes up and then the expenses go down. And of course the loan to value will go down as the property is moved towards the pro forma, which gives you more equity in the deal. From our examples, we looked at the all-cash offer for the houses. We've looked at pro forma, and we've also looked at the actual for our commercial properties. And this is the pro forma example. We're looking at how the acquisition of this property with 8.5% as our cap rate, just for the bread and butters. For other types of property, higher end property, that cap rate actually is very low. It's anywhere from 2% to about 4%. That's a very high end area. That's the luxury apartments. But the bread and butters, which are B and C type apartments, they're normally about 8.5%. But like I said, when you download the PDF, you'll see our new take on where is the cap rate going and why for the bread and butter. So don't forget to download it, read it. It's worth reading. This is our example, our actual example, with taking off the 45% from our annual gross operating income. Our net operating income is $255,927.70. Now when we look at the cap rate, it's 16.51. For most investors, if you were to tell them you have an apartment to flip to them for 16.51, they're going to think that they have to go in with Brinks to collect the rent, or at least be a little bit armed with maybe a bulletproof vest. But it also indicates that this is a repo. So this was actually a real estate owned property, bank owned. We're now going to acquire a nice actually living area at 8.5% cap rate. The area cap rate was 7%. The building owner said, oh no, my cap rate is 5.3%, so he's valuing it a lot higher than everyone else is, which of course he's the owner, so why not? But we're going to make a suggested offer as $3 million. That's where we'll cap ourselves. We're not going to go any higher because Something like this, when you look at 1.5 million and say, wow, this is a great deal, because when you look at the net operating income, you say to yourself, that's a very good monthly cash flow. This would automatically hold up to the debit service, which you should also look at the PDF for that as well. So this property is actually, we would see, okay, the cap rate might be high, but it's actually a real estate owned property, and the bank is trying to hurry up and move it off their books. Now, this is our all cash offer on a single family residence. This can also be applied to smaller apartments, such as 2 to 5 units. Now you see the repaired value. That's the price that we're going to say that the market will bear. So we'll call that the comps. It's based on the comps. So we tend to take the median price. The repair expense, and this was our example for the $35,000 in repairs. You also have to factor in the acquisition, the holding, the hedge, the closing, the advertising, even your realtor's commission at 6%, depending on if they do a commission split at 3% each. Now we look at the monthly payment. It's $2,000 for a monthly payment based on a 6% interest. And because we used the payments for 2 months in this example, because this market was pretty hot, the properties moved off in an average of 2 months. Now with our strategies, of course, we can move that property in less than 1 month because of the nice beautiful upgrades, the nice beautiful touches at a lower expense equals move-in ready. Now with all this new information, what do you do next? To fund or not to fund? An example of not to fund because the numbers do not make sense. Look at the monthly cash flow. Although in this example there is a way to make it actually work, where the cash flow will become a positive number. Yes, that is negative that you're looking at. An example of the numbers making sense with the debit service ratio to NOI at an acceptable balance. The hard part is over. Now the numbers don't look so scary. And in the PDF, there's even further explanation of the numbers. Now you understand the paperwork. Now you understand the numbers.